This is a sign. Don't try to steer the boat. Don't open shop for yourself. Listen. Keep silent. You are not God's mouthpiece. Try to be an ear. And if you do speak, ask for explanations. Attributed to Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi. Welcome back to Sweet Infinity, where I'm reading from one of my card decks, Oracle or Tarot, and doing a reading for you and interpreting the cards, going over the artwork, and I hope that it resonates for you. Today I'm reading from the Sufi Tarot Deck, which I have read from before. It's by Aida Hussein. The cards are quite big for my hand, so I end up shuffling them up and down like this. So I will do that and then pick some cards for you. I hope you're having a good day. I hope spring is back in the air wherever you are, or I guess if you're in the southern hemisphere, then fall. Anywho, enjoy yourself, and I hope that you get to enjoy the weather as well. Please do give me a thumbs up. That's right here beneath this video, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to leave me a comment, I would love to hear from you. What is it that you've enjoyed? Anything you want to see? Stay in touch. All right, let's pick some cards. So we have the Daughter of Cups. So in this deck, the page is called Daughter and Knight is called Son. But again, as I have said before, tarot cards are not really gendered. They're just presented as certain characters, but their characteristics could be in any gendered person. They're archetypes. They are symbols of human nature and different aspects of people's psychology. So Daughter of Cups. That's our first one that came up. Then we have Four of Coins. In other suits, it's also called Pentacles, or the Earth suit. So this is the four of that suit, Four of Coins. Then we have Five of Swords. And then we have the Alchemist, which in a traditional deck would be called a Magician. That's the first card after the Fool card. This is in the Major Arcana. The Alchemist, it's called here. And last but not least, for now, we have the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups. So I will go over the meaning of each card in the booklet and then combine it all together and give you an interpretation. So first we have the Daughter of Cups card. This is a young girl here sitting with the sitar right on the ocean, on the beach, playing the sitar, and she's got some tea or something in a tray over here. Keywords for this card: idealism, creativity, being a dreamer, intuitive, sensitive, childlike innocence, a romantic at heart. The Daughter of Cups is a true embodiment of the elements of water. Her flowing and dreamy nature is representative of someone not necessarily young in years, but young at heart. An idealist who believes in magic and fairy tales, she is often accused of being aloof and out of touch. Yet she is happiest in deep thought, connecting to the mystical plane and trying to recreate its beauty in the physical world. Her being is one of spirituality, intuition, feeling, and emotion. Creative, heart and soul-centered, she needs to be able to dream, even if it is romanticizing an ideal love that may not be reflected in reality. When this card appears for you, you are being guided to connect with your innocence and childlike nature. The Sufis believe that while the purity and flame of a child is special, it cannot compare to the purity and flame of someone who has gone through life and kept it intact. This way, the softness of heart, ability to perceive beauty, and appreciation for the ordinary come not from naivete, but from the place of having lived through life's circumstances while nurturing an inner flame that remains intact and strong. How do you connect with your authentic childlike nature? How do you allow it to help you create beauty? So there's some contemplations. What is my experience of innocence? What do I do to nurture, feed, and take care of my creativity and imagination? And an affirmation that you can use. It is safe to trust. It is safe to dream. So this is the card of innocence that is not just in a child, but in somebody who has gone through life and yet refuses to become so jaded and nihilistic that they give up on anything that you might have experienced as a child, awe and wonder and curiosity and all those things that kids have, that you are still allowed to feel at the world, at the things that you get to experience or new things that you haven't tried yet. The next card that came up is the Four of Coins. Keywords: work, power, saving money, greed, hoarding, extreme materialism, desire to control. The Four of Coins, or the Four of Pentacles in other decks, shows us the hazards of excessive materialism and control. When we seek happiness through the collection of external things, we cease to live with an open heart. Instead, our hearts clamp up out of fear of losing that which we invest with too much value. When we live in this state of fear, suspicion and paranoia replace our peace. We begin to believe everyone wants what we have, which often causes self-inflicted isolation. What leads you to desire more than what is needed? How safe and protected do you feel without your material fixes? When this card appears for you, you are being pointed to the words of the great Sufi Hazrat Inayat Khan. What we value, we must attain, but once attained, instead of being crushed under it, we must freely rise above it and take a further step in life. Those who have made progress in life made it with this view, and those who come to a standstill in life are the ones who hold fast to that which they have attained, never being inclined to renounce it, and in that way they have met with failure. Therefore, greed, however profitable it may seem in the end, is weakening, and generosity, though it may seem at times unprofitable, in reality is strengthening." Unquote. Are you able to rise above your object of desire after attaining it? Some contemplations. How do I balance worldly success with my higher authentic self? Where in my life can I make room for generosity? And an affirmation. As I succeed in my life's journey, there is a continuous opening and expansion of my heart. Four of Coins or Four of Pentacles. Next we have the Five of Swords. Keywords: feeling unfairly defeated, an unequal fight, blaming oneself, feeling like a victim, judging oneself harshly. The Five of Swords is without a doubt a card of conflicts, arguments, and hostility. It alludes to meanness and people indulging in callous, hurtful behavior. The Sufis, however, invite us to consider the outer being a reflection of the inner. Without blaming or judging ourselves, if we find ourselves consistently wronged, it can be helpful to ask, how do our inner thoughts shape our outer reality? Sometimes there is a harsh voice of slander within. Our uncharitable thoughts about ourselves then attract the same from the outside world. When this card appears for you, you are being led to the Sufi practice of tafakkur, or reflection, to meet the shadow within, your inharmonious thoughts and impressions about yourself. There are often distortions within our unconscious minds that must be cleared for us to connect with our natural, harmonious state. These distortions come in the form of our self-image, limiting beliefs, and feelings of guilt and inadequacy, which then manifest outward. What negative beliefs about yourself are being mirrored outward? Remember, this is not an exercise in blaming yourself. Rather, it is meant to help you identify and remove the impressions that do not serve you from your mind. As Rumi writes, the pot drips what's in it. Contemplations. How kind or unkind are my thoughts about myself? How have my inner thoughts shaped my outer reality? And an affirmation. I am kind to myself and others are kind to me. Next, the alchemist, or the magician as he's known, or he or she or they in traditional decks. Keywords: strong will, ability to manifest and create, determination, focus, power of single-pointed awareness. The alchemist transforms and transmutes that which can be seen. From the outside, this process may appear magical, and thus the card has traditionally been known as the magician. But the alchemist is not a magician, he is a manifester. Enigmatic and commanding, he uses his powers of concentration to effect change. He represents motion, not stillness, yet outer movement is always preceded by inner movement. But the alchemist is concerned more with manifesting on the physical level than the spiritual. He has mastered Sufi practices of meditation, mindfulness, gratitude, and surrender, which enable him to take ideas from the ethereal plane and crystallize them into reality. He represents the Jalal, or masculine, sometimes egoic attributes that want to be perceived and recognized. He is active rather than passive, aggressive more than receptive, and embodies the yang energy more than the yin. Earthly and concerned with the tangible, he is goal-oriented and uses his focus and concentration to produce quantifiable results. In Sufi terminology, he is concerned with the zahir, the external, rather than the batin, the internal. When this card appears for you, you are being asked to become aware of your full potential, especially when there is a need to transform something. You are being led to the talents, abilities, and resources you have access to and need to connect with to succeed. This is the card of making things happen, of reaching into your mind and materializing what was previously just a thought. It is alerting you to the potential of your creative energy and your ability to heal yourself, heal others, and actualize your dreams. Contemplations. What is my relationship with power? What am I trying to manifest and what is holding me back? Affirmation. I make, mold, and build my own reality. Finally, for now, we have the Two of Cups. Keywords: love, cooperation, unity, balance, soul connection, mutual respect, friendship, marriage, and sharing. The Two of Cups is often called the card of soul connections. It refers to a love that is eternal, not fleeting or ephemeral. What we see in this card is pure compatibility and an understanding that goes beyond physical love and even physical existence. This is a supportive, loving union in which both partners allow themselves to be vulnerable, knowing that it is safe to do so. It is a way of love that has been called an alchemical marriage, an equal sharing and a joining of the Jamal or feminine and Jalal or masculine attributes within both partners. When this card appears for you, you are being asked to examine your ability to give and receive love. We often get stuck in the role of a giver or a taker. How do you balance the two? You are also being guided to your ability to open your heart and make yourself vulnerable to another. Is this something that feels natural or something to struggle with? If so, the Sufi practice of muhasabah, clearing old impressions that keep us from moving forward, might be of use. There is a reason Sufism is called the Mazhab-e-Ishq, or religion of love. It recognizes love as a central force for healing and transformation so that we may be ready for the ultimate love. Whether in a friendship, a partnership, or a romantic connection, balance mirrors harmony within just the opposite points to needed healing. Contemplations. How safe do I feel opening my heart? How well do I guard the hearts of those who make themselves vulnerable to me? An affirmation. I embrace my ability to give and receive love. With all of these cards, what I'm seeing is a journey. You have an innocent part of you that you have buried because maybe you've just been busy working, making money, and paying the bills and being practical, being an adult. And you know what? That's fine. That's understandable. We all have to do that. But you can't let this part of you that wants to explore, imagine, that's innocent, that has a childlike innocence and a earnestness, you can't wash that away completely because it's in you. It wants to come out. Maybe you've blamed yourself a lot for things because you have had to learn the ways of the world. And you've been pretty successful at it. You've made your way through. You've survived, maybe even thrived. Maybe collected a lot of things, money and possessions along the way. But you've also had to do some things that you judge yourself for. Maybe you lost some things. Maybe you thought that you didn't get everything you wanted. You judge yourself very harshly. You say some pretty negative things about yourself, especially when you're alone or in your own head. And that's a very, very terrible habit. What you need to do is get in touch with the fact that you have a tendency to be an alchemist. You can make something out of nothing. You can bring together what are these indiscrete, abstract concepts, ideas, raw material, and make it into something more tangible, more feasible, more valuable. That's what an alchemist does, right? In the old days, the alchemists were said to be people who turn lead into gold. But alchemy can also be seen as turning anything that's heavy or mundane or doesn't have a lot of value in society into something that is beautiful, valuable, expensive, precious, useful. That's what an alchemist does. They convert something that might have been trash into treasure. So you've been able to do that with not a lot of support along the way. In fact, you've been betrayed. You've had conflicts and competition and rivalries, maybe more than you expected, maybe from sources that you didn't expect from, maybe people you thought were your friends or your family members even turn around and kind of betrayed you. That's happened a lot, right? But you have to get in touch with this because this is your willpower. Your willpower has pulled you through. You're a strong person inside. You've been through a lot of stuff. This card, the Two of Cups, is about integration, marriage, long-term relationship, growing old together. And there is that path for you that's available, whether it's a relationship that you're in or seeking. But even if you are or you're not in a relationship, this kind of integration that is really required for all of us in our own selves, because there are different versions of us. There's masculine versions, feminine versions. There are different energies we all have. And while we may appear a certain way in our outward appearance, but inside of us, both energies are there. The energy of masculinity, the energy of femininity, which are called those things, but that doesn't mean that only certain people of certain genders or sexes have those. So for example, what's considered masculinity is something like being protective, being a provider and all that. But there are lots of cases when women can be very protective. Women can also provide, right? And women can be very protective of their kids or kids in general. Women can provide, especially in situations where the men are off fighting wars and things like that. And then feminine characteristics are supposed to be like nurturing and caring. And a lot of men can do that. Men are great cooks often. A lot of the best cooks are men. And men can also be great dads. So there is this tendency to stereotype based on what the cards show in terms of gender. But we really have to think about in our own selves. If you're a woman or if you're a man, are you integrating with the other parts of you? The parts of you that maybe socially may not be something you want to show, but it's something that you need to be at peace with within yourself, even if you can't show it, even if that's not what you feel like you need to be always embodying, but you need to be aware and you need to integrate those things, right? So this kind of childlike innocence, this is also something that anyone of any gender can have. Again, this is about being in touch with when you were a kid and you had wonder, you wondered at the beauty of the sunset, of the stars, of flowers, of animals, of different kinds of things, maybe objects and toys. You had that curiosity and that sense of connection to the world around you. And then a lot of things happen, you gotta work. Maybe you had to take over a business, or, maybe there was an inheritance battle. Something happened where you had to kind of hold on to what you had, and you maybe had to let go of some of the dreams that you had. Maybe you wanted to be a musician or an artist or some kind of creative person, but you had to do finance and money and business and real estate and all that stuff that maybe, you took because you felt a sense of responsibility, so you took it on. And yet you never really felt fulfilled. So this is like the card of just being unfulfilled and being constantly at odds with yourself and constantly being self-critical. And that usually comes from a place of deep self-betrayal. It usually comes from when you have not stood up for yourself. And you have these things that you're projecting into the world about rivalry and conflict, but a lot of it stems from an internal conflict. If you can find a way to go back and do some research, this is also the card of research. It's the card of spending so much time just deep diving into whatever it is you want to do. And, maybe going back to university or college or taking a vocational class or an online course, something that allows you to, in a structured way, deep dive and learn the thing that you want to learn. There's lots of resources online. There's free tutorials. There's Coursera. You can pay a little bit and sign up for different kinds of courses on Udemy and Skillshare and all these places. So this is about also a very structured, strategic learning plan and getting to the heart of it. So you identify what you want to do. Let's say you want to learn AI or you want to learn certain other things. You go in and you learn that, or some kind of vocation. I think those are great tools too, like HVAC and plumbing. This is a card of honing your craft and studying it and studying it and studying it to the point where you can recite it backwards and forwards, where you can understand the rules of the game. You can understand how to bring different elements together. It's also an interdisciplinary thing. So you can focus on particular fields or tasks, but usually your study will involve looking at different aspects of it, which means that even if you're going through a structured learning program like a university, you might also then still want to complement it with your own study, whether it's going out in the field and doing some research that way or talking to people who are already doing what you want to be doing. There's extensive research involved here. That's how the alchemist learns alchemy. once you have that, you can get a little bit of this energy back, or at the very least, learn to sit with this side of you. Allow this side of you to come forward, because you know that this side of you is protecting this side of you. This side of you is looking out for this side of you, and that they have to work together. This one is a bit in their head, kind of like, woo, I'm just dreaming of unicorns and butterflies and beautiful things. And then this one is willpower. It's making things happen. It's learning about how things are done step by step, learning everything about a particular subject, constantly researching, learning, picking up from the environment what's going on and making it happen, manifesting it, right? And this one is dreaming and hoping and wishing. And these are great. You need this energy, and you need this. This guy's more practical in some ways, right? And then this is like the integration of those two sides, if you want to think of it that way. This is once two sides of you have learned to integrate. And then if you notice, this is an older couple, and they're just sitting in their veranda in their backyard on a nice swing, and there's some food in front of them, and they're obviously happy and in love. And, you know, if you're looking for a relationship, then you have to integrate those parts of you that are innocent and that want something pure and kind and sweet. Integrating these two will give you the results you're looking for. While in the past, or even now, you have mostly been stuck doing this, it's time to think of something else. It may be not that easy to extricate yourself from the world that you found yourself in. That's up to you to figure that out. But there is a deeper world that you're seeking that's here. It's going to require you to use some of the smarts that you gained by being in this world, by playing this game. But it's obvious that you are seeking integration with a higher form of existence. It's your one life. Do you want to spend it in this world? Or do you want some of this? And while this, especially this guy, might be very rich, he's miserable and he's alone. He's lonely. All he does is hoard his whatever he's got and is paranoid about everyone around him. And then he hates himself for the things he has to do to preserve this wealth, to preserve this status. He has to do some pretty crappy things. Meanwhile, that wealth could be put to good use. That wealth could be distributed to people who have way less than this guy. And then not only is it going to relieve those people's burdens, it's also going to make him less paranoid, because he's going to have friends. He's going to have people who rely on him, who love him, who appreciate his generosity. So the best way to get out of this is to find a way to apply your skills, knowledge, resources, whatever you have that you may have been hoarding, and using them in a way that allows you to integrate and get in touch with the more hopeful, romantic, sweet, mystical, kind side of you. And integrate these things so that you can have the rest of your life, whatever age you are, be something that is full of joy, love, companionship, and a holistic view of yourself and the world. It's a sweet card. I hope that that was uplifting and made you think about some things. I would appreciate a thumbs up and interact with this video if you don't mind. I'm also going to leave a link to this deck down below in the description. If you are looking to purchase this deck, I would appreciate it if you get it from my affiliate links. And come back again. I will have more videos for you. Check out the other ones on this channel. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And have a sweet infinity.